Hello, it's Mark from Cars and Cameras, and today we're going to take a look at the new Crane M3. This is the Zhiyun Crane M3. And we're going to compare this to the Crane M2. I'm mainly going to be taking a look at this, not with a full frame camera, but I'm going to take a look at this gimbal with a APS-C bodied camera on it. Even though it can support the weight of a full frame bodied camera, it's really not the right gimbal for that because you are really stretching the limits of what this gimbal was designed to do. So really, I think if you're looking for a full frame gimbal, I think you should pass this one up because you might as well just get, for what this costs, you might as well just get a full frame gimbal because it gives you so many more possibilities. Well, let's talk about the gimbal and how it compares to the Crane M2. Well, first off the bat, I have to say that this gimbal was a lot harder to set up. I've set up many gimbals and it took me a long time to get the camera balanced on this gimbal for whatever reason that was. It's not really faster compared to other gimbals, especially with the quick releases and everything that it has. And I would say that this gimbal has more quick release setups on it than compared to the Crane M2, for example. But using the gimbal, they really operate the same. As far as using it, as far as it being as steady, it's really not any better than this gimbal. So this is the Crane M2, and you can see it's a little more sleek and compact. And yes, this gimbal does not support as much weight, but if you're using it with a setup like this, an APS-C bodied camera with a smaller, lighter lens, which is probably what you're going to be using when you're using a gimbal anyway, and it does work really well with the kit lenses that come with a lot of cameras because these kit lenses are kind of cheap and they are pretty lightweight, so it does work pretty well with them. So I would say if you're using this gimbal with an APS-C camera, I would say skip the Crane M3 because there's really no advantage to it. Yes, I do know it does come with a built-in light, but I think that's more of a gimmick. I think really when you look at the gimbal, you really want to find out, is it working better? And the thing is with these gimbals is they all kind of work the same. A 3-axis system. And really you can only get so much stability with that. Until gimbals are on the market that give you a 4-axis system maybe, that would eliminate all the shake. They kind of operate all the same. So I really don't see the advantage to spend the extra, almost double the cost for the Crane M3, unless you're really thinking that you want to use this gimbal with a full frame camera. But I do not recommend using it with a full frame camera because, like I said before, you're kind of stretching the weight limits of what it can do. On the back of this gimbal, you have a touch screen. That's how you operate most of the functions on it. And this one had a little problem. I am just touching it, as you see here, with that same amount of resistance, and that shattered the screen. So I am not so sure about the quality of this particular gimbal, especially in that clear glass flexes quite a bit. So for what this gimbal costs, I am really, well, I'm kind of let down by that screen, to tell you the truth. So it just seems way too delicate. So that's another thing to keep in mind about this gimbal. Who knows if it will be improved down the road, but that's how it is now. Okay, so let's wrap this up. Here is the Crane M2, and we talked all about how these gimbals work and what I think of them. And I think it kind of boils down to this. If you have a full frame camera and you think you might be using it sometimes with your Crane gimbal, but you want to use your smaller bodied APS-C camera, well, I would say maybe take a look at the Crane M3. But if you are looking at just using a smaller bodied APS-C camera or a smaller bodied camera in general that's lightweight, even the smaller 1-inch sensor cameras from Sony, camera like that, I think the Crane M2 is the better choice. But of course, that is all up to you. I also like using, this is flashlight mode, and it seemed like using the flashlight mode was a little bit easier on the wrist. I don't know if this gimbal's a little bit lighter. I really haven't weighed the both of them to compare, but that's my opinion on that. And there you go. So guys, there's a quick look at the Crane M3 and the Crane M2, comparing them two together, kind of my thoughts on everything. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.